What it do, YouTube? Your boy LTD back at it again with another one. And today I'm gonna be checking out wrestlers who destroyed their own careers by tap out corner. Now, what he's gonna be talking about is that specific wrestler that had everything in the palm of their hands. Like WWE seen a lot of potential in those wrestlers, but it was all ruined because of their own beings. Like they destroyed their own careers, like either drug use, getting suspended like multiple times, or getting in legal trouble outside the ring, or even getting in trouble backstage as they had behavior problems, and WWE just couldn't put up with that anymore. And WWE, before they actually do that, they put, especially in the Vince McMahon era, they put you in an embarrassing gimmick. Even if you try to get over with that gimmick, we all know if it's a terrible gimmick, Future and Never was written all over your name. And at the other end, you have other wrestlers who had substantial, like high potential. Like WWE seen a lot in you, but it was all cut short due to your own beings doing because of you. You're the reason why your career didn't go as planned because of what you did. And WWE decided they didn't like that, and they just cut ties with you immediately. They was like, yeah, man, you gotta go, man. Like, for real, we're not gonna put up with that type of bullshit, especially in our company. You ain't gonna make us lose a lot of money. As we checked out a previous video about wrestlers who destroyed themselves, and that video was a perfect example why drug use and addictions, that can ruin anybody's career or backstage behavior. But I ain't gonna waste that much time. Let's chill and relax, and let's get started with this video. This should be an interesting one right here. And make sure y'all go subscribe to homie too.
The worst thing to happen to these wrestlers' careers was themselves. Beginning with Austin
Yep.
Aries, who was constantly praised by both fans and critics
Yeah, I know him.
as one of the best wrestlers of his era. Aries made his wrestling debut in 2000, but really started to get noticed when he joined Ring of Honor in 2004. Almost as soon as he joined the company, though, an even bigger organization had its eye on him. In 2005, TNA offered Austin Aries a contract, which he signed. This was extremely impressive, considering Austin had spent only about 5 years in wrestling and was already signed by the second largest wrestling company at the time. However,
Yeah.
this is when Austin Aries started getting in his own way. Just a few months after signing with TNA, Austin Aries
Yep,
was
bad
suspended
attitude.
when he
I just
arrived 4
explained
hours late
that.
to a show. This wouldn't be the last time Aries got suspended either. About a year later, in 2007, Austin Aries was asked by TNA to be part of a video shoot on a day Aries thought he had off. Austin ended up coming to film, but his attitude was so bad that he was suspended for 90 days. Ultimately,
Damn.
Austin Aries wouldn't return to TNA. He instead requested his release, which was granted. Aries would then go back to Ring of Honor, but things wouldn't change. According to Ring of Honor executive producer Jim Cornette, Aries was constantly complaining backstage and telling wrestlers that the company was doomed.
But basically, it was left with, give us a chance to fix your problems before you mouth off about them, if you would, and we will try to address some of your valid criticisms. And his response was, they don't pay me enough to not have an opinion.
Not surprisingly, Ring of Honor eventually let go of Austin Aries, but by this time,
No
Aries'
word.
former employer, TNA, was ready to give him another chance. Austin made his TNA return in 2011. Unlike last time though, Aries didn't have many major incidents. In fact, his career really took off. Austin Aries won multiple championships in TNA, including the world title. In 2015, Aries left TNA, and a few months later, the former TNA world champion would sign with WWE. He would be sent to WWE's development system NXT, where he had a promising start. However, just a few months into his WWE career, Aries would be sidelined with an injury. While he would return in March 2017,
Oh, yeah,
and had
he was in the
several standout
cruiserweight
matches,
division for a
Austin
while.
Aries' WWE career would come to an abrupt end. In July 2017, Aries was fired. The reason stemmed from Aries being unpopular with WWE's writing staff and other backstage personnel.
Apparently, you can go from 0 to a complete site
Oh
in just
my
a single
God,
prompt
man.
with Wix Harmony.
Trying to
I don't know
watch
if
this
gonna be
video
possible,
here.
or
Bye.
This would carry over when, in 2018, Austin Aries returned to TNA and began his third run with the company. He soon
Damn,
became
third
the TNA World
run?
Champion again and would eventually feud with Johnny Impact, aka John Morrison. The two would expand their rivalry to Twitter, which led to Aries making a tweet where, among other things, he insulted the weight of Johnny Impact's wife. TNA management had not approved any of this, and Austin Aries would delete most of his tweets. However, Aries' third and final run with TNA would end in spectacular fashion. At TNA's biggest event of the year, Bound for Glory, Aries defended the TNA World Championship against Johnny Impact in the main event. Impact won the match after hitting his finisher. However, almost immediately after the 3 count, Austin Aries got up and no-sold the move. To this day, it's unclear whether this was planned, whether Aries left because he was genuinely hurt, or whether he simply went off script. Either way, Austin Aries was gone from TNA after this incident. While Austin Aries continues to compete on the independent wrestling circuit and has popped up in a few significant companies, he's no longer at the level he once was. While Aries' downfall was bad, Matt Riddle's was—
Yeah, that is crazy. He just said, fuck it. I ain't no selling this move worth a damn. As soon as the match was over with, he just got up and left. Without feeling no type of pain kayfabe wise. Like, he didn't like fake the injury or fake the impact of the finishing move or nothing. He just got pinned and that was it. He just left. No sold the move like he just said. And yeah, I did hear a lot about his backstage issues. Now, for specific wrestlers, if you're like at the top of the card, well, especially back then, because back then was a lot differenter. But right now, they don't give a damn how talented you are. If you start acting up, you gotta go. Like, if you don't get your shit together. And speaking of somebody not getting their shit together, he's gonna talk about Matt Riddle right now.
an absolute train wreck. Unlike most wrestlers, Matt Riddle's career didn't start in wrestling. It began in MMA. Riddle would first make a name for himself by appearing on the reality TV competition show, The Ultimate Fighter. While he didn't win, Riddle would still go on to compete in the UFC. He had a decent record, but this is when problems would begin to arise. In 2012, Matt Riddle tested positive for marijuana, which was bad enough. However, things were made even worse when Riddle tested positive again just a few months later. This led the UFC to kick Matt Riddle out after a 5-year career. Soon after leaving the UFC, Matt Riddle would begin a career in professional wrestling. After about 4 years on the independent circuit, Riddle was signed by WWE in 2018. While the ex-MMA fighter started in the development brand NXT, it didn't take too long for him to move up to the main roster. But this is when cracks began to form. In the summer of 2020, an independent female wrestler named Candy Cartwright posted on Twitter that Riddle had sexually assaulted her. According to Cartwright, the incident occurred in 2018 when she was riding in a van with Riddle and a few other wrestlers. When everyone else was asleep, Cartwright alleged that Riddle asked her to hop on his dick. When she refused, Cartwright said Riddle grabbed her by the throat, choked her, and said, "What if I just made you?" Ultimately, Cartwright said she did perform oral sex on Matt Riddle. For his part, Matt Riddle posted a video denying the allegations and said that while he had an affair with Cartwright, it was consensual. This led Cartwright to file a lawsuit against Matt Riddle, but after 9 months, she voluntarily dismissed it. Despite this, Matt Riddle's WWE career didn't take much of a hit. In fact, in April 2021, Riddle would take a big step forward when he formed a tag team with Randy Orton, dubbed RK Bro.
This was pretty good. I really enjoyed their little, alliance, Randy Orton and Matt Riddle. RK Bro, this was pretty good. This was pretty good. You could argue this was arguably some of Matt Riddle's best work. Or actually was his best work, to be honest. Well, the set feud was great too. So I ain't gonna take nothing away from that. But this was pretty good.
The team was popular with fans, and they won the Raw Tag Team Championship. Even after Orton got sidelined with an injury, Matt Riddle continued to be a top star, having rivalries with the likes of Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Now, during all this, Matt Riddle would be suspended for testing positive for cocaine. But the straw that broke the camel's back came on August 21st, 2023. Riddle had just gotten off a plane and was behaving disorderly.
Oh yeah, I synced this video.
Police were called in and Matt Riddle apologized for his behavior. However, after leaving the airport, Riddle went on social media and accused a TSA officer of sexually assaulting him. Within an hour, Riddle deleted the post, but the damage had already been done. Soon after, Matt Riddle stopped appearing at WWE shows and was released by the company. Unfortunately for Riddle, this isn't where the story ends. Almost exactly 2 years later, in September 2025, Matt Riddle no-showed a charity wrestling event he had been booked for months in advance. Riddle soon took to social media to explain his side of the story. However, a statement and receipts from the event organizers would pretty much disprove what Riddle had said. Had he left things there, the whole thing probably would have blown over. However, Riddle made a second video where he said this.
But I really don't give a anymore. Most of you motherfuckers are dumb cunt. Just like when you believe that
Damn.
YouTube and all the
Damn,
other
he was going off. God
garbage.
damn.
The comment about the Me Too movement led organizations to cancel bookings they had with Matt Riddle. Despite this, the former WWE star would make things worse for himself. During an interview, Matt Riddle went after AJ Lee, who had recently returned to WWE, claiming she got around backstage. Riddle also attacked Lee's husband, CM Punk, saying that Punk hanging around the female NXT wrestlers like Cora Jade was creepy. Despite his own self-sabotage, Riddle still had a successful career. Patrick Clark, on the other hand, killed his.
Yeah, Matt Riddle, he really just spiraled. And that's what happens when you get too high from your own shit. You start fucking around, and what he did just there right there, especially calling out AJ Lee, that was pretty lame, I ain't gonna lie. Because I remember that too. Yeah, that was kind of lame from Matt Riddle. Yeah, Matt Riddle, man, I really thought he was about to really, like, skyrocket it. Because he had a lot of potential. And he was, like, slated to do... I believe he was even rumored to win the Royal Rumble match or something. But backstage behaviors kind of ruined that. So, yeah, man, very unfortunate for Riddle. And to be honest, I don't even know if any company want to hire him. Especially because of his reputation.
Before he even got to that point. Clark showed a lot of promise from an early age. He began wrestling
Dream. Know about this one.
And at just 19, Clark got an opportunity with WWE. Patrick became a participant in WWE's reality show contest, Tough Enough. While Clark wouldn't win, he was signed to a WWE contract just a few months later. After training for about 2 years, Patrick Clark debuted a new character named Velveteen Dream. Inspired by the musician Prince, the Velveteen Dream persona almost instantly caught on with fans. Other wrestlers would give Clark props too, with
he had a lot of potential,
saying that Velveteen Dream could be the one. Up until this point, Patrick Clark's career had been doing nothing but going up. So, when did it all go wrong? In April of 2020, a Reddit user claimed that Clark had sent indecent images of himself to underage boys. The user also included screenshots of messages sent from Patrick Clark's verified Instagram account. Making the allegations even more damning is what happened 2 months later. New allegations would come out about Clark grooming underage girls. Patrick Clark denied the allegations and said that the private photo of himself was shared without his consent or knowledge. However, fans were still upset, prompting WWE to conduct its own investigation into the matter, but it found no evidence of wrongdoing. While this was going on, Patrick Clark continued to wrestle as Velveteen Dream, only taking time off due to injury. However, after wrestling a match in December 2020, Clark disappeared from TV and was quietly released from his contract in May 2021. While this was likely due in part to the predatory allegations, another incident contributed to Clark's dismissal. Before his release, Patrick Clark was invited to a private party EC3 was hosting, and he made a shocking revelation.
And he left his phone in my bathroom with the camera on, trying to capture people taking pisses.
Clark would then make things worse for himself. In August,
you were taping people for taking a piss in another man's... Nah, bro, you gotta go. Nah, for real, bro. You gotta go, bro. Get your phone and get the fuck up out of here, bro. I ain't having that fruity ass shit up in here. Hell no. Nope. I did not know nothing about this.
Was at a fitness gym in Orlando, Florida.
That is
According
insane.
To police, Clark got into an altercation and punched an employee. The former WWE wrestler was taken into custody and decided to forego the right to remain silent.
I did not get no my Miranda rights. You didn't let me know my Miranda rights. You f***ed up, baby.
Then, just a few days after being arrested, Patrick Clark was arrested again for possessing drugs. Clark would then do something smart and lay low, until early 2024. In February of that year, the former WWE superstar competed at an independent event, and while some fans were happy to see him, others were not. After taking a few months off, however, the former Velveteen Dream continued his independent wrestling career and started competing regularly. Then, in May 2025, almost exactly 4 years after his WWE release, Patrick would speak out. In a video posted to his Instagram account, Patrick Clark stated he wanted his job back with WWE, and he blamed the fans for why he lost it.
You know they're going so far as to compare me to Chris Benoit? Chris Benoit. They call me the most hated man in professional wrestling, and loop me in with Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit is a killer. I'm not a killer, but don't push me.
While Patrick Clark is still an active wrestler,
shit.
he is miles away from where he once was, but he's at least in a better position than just Incredible.
Yeah. WWE, they put the rocket on him. And to be honest, bro, I couldn't even wait until he got into the main roster. Well, I don't know, because we know how Vince does with NXT superstars. But to be honest, man, he had it all in NXT. But he squandered it, man. And some people saying the allegations aren't true, or I don't know if they're really true. But yeah, man, if that shit is true, especially the shit where he was basically taking pictures of another men, of people taking a bathroom, taking a piss. It's someone else's bath. This is not even your hell, even if it was your house, that shit is mad creepy. Taking videos of other people pissing. Grab your phone and get the fuck up out my house. And don't ever come back. Ever. For real, bro. Hell
Given
no.
his size, Just Incredible was not your typical wrestler. Despite that, Credible managed to make a career for himself. When he was 19, he started wrestling in WWE, and about a year later, he was given a proper character and persona. While Justin didn't achieve main event level success, it was still very impressive for someone of his age and body type, especially given the era. After leaving WWE in 1997, Just Incredible would join ECW. This is where he would really make a name for himself, and in less than 3 years, Credible won the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. After ECW shut down in 2001, Justin returned to WWE. Even after achieving main event level success in ECW, Credible would not come near that in WWE. In fact, Just Incredible would primarily compete on WWE's B shows before being let go in January 2003. Justin continued his career on the independent wrestling scene, and although he was no longer part of a mainstream wrestling company, everything seemed to be going well. However, stories and allegations began to paint a much different picture. One of Just Incredible's first public blunders happened in 2017. Credible was scheduled to appear at an independent wrestling show, but arrived intoxicated and in no shape to perform. Despite this, Just Incredible came out to the ring, prompting him to be publicly called out.
You are a freaking disgrace now, who are you? I'm the guy who has you here, that's paying you tonight, and asks you not to come here because you reek like booze, and you tell everybody you're sober, you're not. And all these people paid to see you, and you're in there
damn.
stumbling everywhere. Get out!
This
Stories
pipe
would
bomb
then
on the
emerge from
independent
fans
scene.
who said they would pay Credible for items such as autographs and merchandise, but never received them or heard back from Justin. Wrestling promoters would likewise share similar stories of booking and paying Credible in advance, only for Justin to not show up and ghost them.
Let me show you how I use Grammarly from start to finish with my essays.
It
First,
is crazy.
Go to app.grammarly.com and click.
Things escalated when fellow wrestlers began publicly discussing Justin's behavior. Incredible's situation only got worse in 2025. Just Incredible had gotten booked to compete at a wrestling event in Memphis. Justin did show up and didn't appear to be under the influence, but his physical health was in shambles. Credible was out of shape and looked sloppy. In fact, at the end of the match, a small group of backstage personnel had gotten in the ring to check on him. Somehow though, Justin still hadn't hit rock bottom yet. In October 2025, Just Incredible posted on social media that he had been in an accident and he had gas money to get home. He included pictures to go with it, but people commenting on the post noted that none of the electrodes on his chest were connected to anything and that he had mustard on his face. In another post, Justin said he was looking to get a motel for the night, even though it appeared he was already in one. With all that said, there appears to be good news. In November 2025, Credible would share that he successfully completed the Addictive Disorders program. Then, in late December, Justin shared he was 2.5 months sober and had lost 25 pounds. Now, while Just Incredible was never going to be a major star in WWE, Alberto Del Rio was.
Oh
In
boy,
2010,
know about Del Rio.
Was immediately positioned as a major star. Within just a few months, Alberto
won
Del
the
Rio
Royal
won the Royal
Rumble.
Rumble, and almost exactly 1 year after arriving in WWE, he captured the World Championship. Over the course of his run, he became a 4-time world champion, all being presented as a main event star, with a personal ring announcer and luxury cars. Behind the scenes, reports indicated that Vince McMahon was personally high on Del Rio, which helps explain just how quickly and consistently
pushed him to the moon immediately.
But despite all the momentum, Alberto Del Rio's career would eventually self-destruct. The first major turning point came in August 2014. Alberto was involved in a backstage altercation with a WWE employee who allegedly made a racist joke toward him. Del Rio responded by slapping the employee, and WWE fired him shortly afterward for unprofessional conduct. While the situation was controversial, it didn't really damage Alberto's reputation. That's probably why, about a year later, Del Rio returned to WWE. Alberto was immediately thrust back into prominence, defeating John Cena to win the United States Championship on his first night back. Despite the strong start though, this second run never reached the same heights as Alberto's first. Less than a year after his return, Del Rio was suspended for violating WWE's wellness policy. The suspension was initially reported as a standard 30-day penalty, but it ultimately ended his WWE tenure. According to reports, Del Rio was frustrated backstage, claiming he had been promised a major main event push that never materialized. Whether those promises were real or simply perceived is unclear, but by this point, his relationship with WWE had clearly deteriorated. As a result, Alberto Del Rio and WWE mutually agreed to part ways, and Del Rio was released from his contract. But what happened after WWE is what ultimately cemented Alberto Del Rio's downfall. During his time in the company, Del Rio began dating fellow wrestler Paige. Shortly after he left WWE, the two became engaged. However, their relationship quickly became turbulent and extremely public. The two broke up, and Paige accused Del Rio of physically and emotionally abusing her. Alberto denied the allegations and claimed Paige was the aggressor. Paige later acknowledged her own struggles and mistakes during that period, but maintained that the relationship involved abuse and trauma. Police investigations were conducted, but no charges were ultimately made. Unfortunately, the controversies don't end there. In May 2020, Del Rio was arrested and charged with serious crimes, including aggravated kidnapping and sexually assaulting his girlfriend. The case escalated to a grand jury indictment, putting Del Rio in the most serious legal trouble of his life. However, in December 2021, all charges were dropped after the accuser recanted her story. Dropping the charges didn't necessarily mean the original allegations were false, and while this meant Del Rio would not face criminal punishment, the situation left lasting damage to his public reputation. The story of Daphne is extremely tragic, and what makes it so sad.
Yeah, he's most likely never coming back to WWE at all. And once again, he got arrested for domestic abuse, so yeah. He's definitely not coming back to WWE. Yeah, those plans are immediately out the window. He ain't never coming back.
That is not what she did, but what others did to her.
Oh, the video's over with. Yep, this was an interesting video. Go ahead and give this video a like. This was a good video. And yeah, man. Get rid of all this stuff too. But yeah, man. One moment can destroy your entire career. It doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter. Like, it really don't matter at all. One moment can destroy your career. It could be the littlest of things. But if it can cause like a huge problem, especially for the company, yeah, they're gonna future endeavor you. Like, for real. Maybe you can get away with it back then, but in today's WWE, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like, Del Rio, he had a lot of potential, but due to his own beings, he was for starters, his first firing, I will admit, if those things were actually true with the guy saying racist stuff to him, to be honest, man, I think that was kind of unfair. You could at least suspended him. I wouldn't have fired him. But the other ones, yeah, Del Rio, he definitely takes a lot of blame for all that. And for the other wrestlers, man, they had it all, man. They had it all. Maybe some of those guys weren't going to reach the main event scene, but your dream was always to be a WWE superstar. And you threw that away. So all these wrestlers have nobody to blame but themselves for why they're in the position that they are right now. But yeah, man, this was an interesting video. Make sure y'all go like, subscribe to my channel. Make sure y'all go subscribe to Tap Out Corner. This your boy LTD signing out. Peace.